Okay, hello everybody, it's time. I see almost everybody's there, so let me take quickly our list. How have you been, guys?
Good, and you?
Yeah, fine.
Fine, and you? Ah,
Everything okay. Okay, so who's missing? Tamara is missing? Yes, Tamara is missing. Um, okay, I'm quickly checking who is missing. Adan is missing? Yeah, Adan is also missing. Jose Roel, are you here?
Here.
Okay, perfect. Bichara is here. And there is one more. That's Adan. Vanessa, you're here. Ivan, are you here? Yeah.
yes, I'm here.
Guillermo, are you here? No, Guillermo is missing, right? Okay, that's it.
Mister, I'm here.
Yeah, I've seen you. Thank you, Adan.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome everybody. Today we are already in a new week, in fact, and it's the first week after the second partial, so time goes fast, in fact. To be exact, I think we're in week, I have to check, I think we're in week 11, right? Week 11 or week 10? Quickly check. Okay, so what are we going to do today is we're going to review certain things about the DNA, but we will go a little bit more in detail about certain things. So what we will see today, we have already seen it, but we go a little bit more in depth. And to be more specific, we will have a closer look at the chromosomes, okay? This is important for understanding how cancer works, and it also is important for understanding later how inheritance works. So that's why we do this. I told you we would go back to DNA, and today we're back to DNA, in fact. But you'll see it's a different approach. So we will go over some things that we have seen already, and certain things will be a little bit new about everything. So what we're going to do is basically I'm going to show you a presentation, and then once we come to the chromosomes, we will do some activities together with it, some riddles, like some problems, solving problems, okay? And this is very good exercise to know if you actually understand. So let's start with this. I have a presentation of this, which I will happily share with you. So let's have a look. We have seen DNA already, okay? So let's go over this again. We have seen the cell cycle, and let's have a look at DNA and its structure. Here in the bottom, you can see that cells, they divide. And if you look at this, what is this? We have seen that last lesson. Basically, you have one cell that becomes two cells. What is
mitosis, right?
Sorry?
Mitosis.
Yeah, so here in this one, mitosis is happening. You see, this is mitosis because the nucleus is duplicating and then the cell is duplicating. So here is happening the prophase, the metaphase, the anaphase, and the telophase. So this is the telophase. And when the cell actually splits, this is what we call cytokinesis. So what you see here below is like an electron microscope image of a part of the cell cycle, which is exactly mitosis and cytokinesis, okay? And this is the cell splitting into two daughter cells, okay? And what you see here, and that's the concept of today, is that the DNA is duplicated and you have two identical cells. They might be smaller, but they are completely identical as the first cell right here, okay? So how did that work? Well, this works with DNA. We have seen that DNA is a double strand, like you can see here, okay? And this DNA has nucleotides. This is the nucleotide, it's like the backbone, and then it has this base pairs on top of it. And we also learned that these base pairs can be adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, okay? This is what we already did. And you also know that adenine pairs with thymine and guanine pairs with cytosine. So A matches with T and G matches with C, okay? Inside the cell, so here we also saw that whenever the cell decides to split, the DNA will be shaped in chromosomes, like you can see here. Chromosomes are formed. Who remembers when are chromosomes formed in the cell cycle or in the mitosis phase? Because they are in fact in the, so who remembers that?
Sorry, what?
When are the chromosomes formed in the cell?
Just a moment when it's compiling to divide.
Yeah, but you have to give me an exact moment. So
G, like G1.
yeah, who said prophase? That's correct. It's the prophase. So in the G2 phase, everything is getting ready for mitosis. But in the first phase of the mitosis, the prophase, there is where the chromosomes are formed. And this is, in fact, a chromosome, an image of a chromosome. Okay.
So, teacher, if that's like on an exam, what's the correct answer? Protophase or G1 or both?
The correct
right.
answer is what Anna Sophia says. The chromosomes are formed in the prophase of the mitosis. Okay. So these chromosomes, okay, they have two long strands of nucleotides, so they look like this. And it's basically made to package the DNA so it can split easily into two, okay? Because as you know, DNA is really long in a very small nucleus. So you really need this DNA to be organized if you want to divide it into two parts nicely, okay? If you look at chromosomes or if you look at DNA, we call a gene a specific segment of a piece of DNA that codes for a certain protein, okay? That is basically a gene. A human has about 3,000 to 6,000 genes that code for all different kinds of proteins that even work together, okay? So this is how the DNA looks like. This is nothing new. You know, it's a double helix. We go see tomorrow or Friday a video about how this helix was made, how it was discovered with Watson and Crick. I said we would do that. This will be tomorrow or Friday. And this is how the DNA looks like, okay? So to make clear, a nucleotide is the combination of the phosphate group, the sugar group, which is the deoxyribulose, and the base, which is the adenine, the guanine, the thymine, or the cytosine. Okay, that's the nucleotide. The base is only the letter, the adenine, guanine, cytosine, or thymine. Okay, so that's how it looks like. Nucleotide, the three things together. The base pair is when we refer to only the letter. Okay. Then, what we also have seen is the following things. Okay, when cells divide, we call that mitosis, okay? The mitotic cell division. And you get an exact copy from each other cell that you make. And then we also have seen in the cell cycle that cells can differentiate, okay? When differentiation, have we also seen, is specialization in structure and function, okay? And how, in which phase is a cell when it specializes so much in structure and function that it decides not to divide anymore. So a cell that says, no, I want to focus on completely being hard cell, or I want to focus on 100% becoming a muscle cell or a brain cell. In which phase are these cells?
G0.
The G0 phase, very good. The G0 phase is the phase where the cell is in a rest. In a resting phase, it decides not to divide anymore, and it's going to focus on its differentiated function, which is basically focusing on its specialization in structure or function. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Because this is nothing new. We have seen this. This is just a different angle of the same thing, what we already have seen. Okay? So cells divide. And we also have seen that cells can divide sexually or asexually. If they divide asexually, how did we call that? The splitting of cells, asexual?
Mitosis.
Mitosis, very good, because you get exactly the same cell as the other one. Okay, so that is mitotic cell division. And what you get basically is clones, like it says here. If you have mitosis, you get a clone of the other cell because their DNA is exactly the same. It's a clone. Okay, then we have also seen sexual reproduction. And last lesson, we have seen how that process works. It's a little bit more complicated because it's 2 times mitosis, in fact, but in the prophase of mitosis of meiosis 1, it's called meiosis. In the prophase of meiosis 1, something special is happening, and this we call what? The jumping from DNA from one to the other chromosome? Somebody knows?
Excuse me, what?
So in last lesson, we have seen that meiosis has 2 stages, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. And we have also seen that it looks very, very similar as the mitosis. The difference is that you do it twice, but also in the meiosis 1, there is something special happening in the prophase of the meiosis 1. So what was happening there? And what was happening?
I know.
Yes?
Like the chromosome is split in two, like making the chromatides, and then 2 chromatides mix, making a cell, I think.
Yeah, more or less. In fact, what was happening is that the chromosomes, they interchange pieces of DNA. So if I'm a chromosome, I give an arm to you and you give your arm to me. It's like interchanging genetic material with the objective to have diversity, genetic diversity. Okay, that's asexual reproduction. And thanks to this crossing over and the fact that meiosis mixes the DNA in a random way, this causes humans to be unique. That's why in the whole history of all the humans that have lived on planet Earth, there is no 2 of the same persons on the planet. Okay? Okay. So this was meiotic cell division or asexual sexual reproduction. So where was this happening? Who can help me?
In the egg, like on the baby.
Yes, yes. In the eggs, so the meiosis is basically the formation of egg cells and sperm cells. So it's happening in the ovaries of girls, yes, and it's happening in the testicles of men because that's where sperm cells are formed and that's where egg cells are formed. Okay, and I said this meiosis is really how people are unique. That's how every person in human history has been different. Somebody has an idea how many people live today on planet Earth?
7.8
Like
billion.
almost 8 billion.
Yes, correct. Almost 8 billion. Like Santiago says, it's like 7.8 billion. Now, other question, guys, you possibly don't know that. How many people have lived on planet Earth from the beginning? The Greeks, the Romans, the everything. How many people have lived on planet Earth in the whole history of planet Earth? This
100 billion.
20 billion.
100 billion.
it's 100 billion, more or less. 100,
Oh my God.
110 billion. So in fact, today, it's really mind-boggling this, think about it. Today, there is 10%, almost 10% alive of the people that have lived in the whole history of planet Earth. 10% is alive today. 90% died. So the Romans, the Greeks, 100 years ago, the Spanish, the conquistadores, the Spanish conquistadores. If you take all of them together, you only still have about 90%, and now 10% is still alive. So I think this is even scary because it shows us how many people there are alive today. So everybody gets this, right? It's important that you understand the difference between mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is asexual reproduction. You make clones of cells that are completely identical. And then you have meiosis, which happens in the testicles, is the production of sperm cells, or in the ovaries, the production of egg cells. And what is the most special characteristic of those sperm cells and those egg cells, guys? In terms of DNA, what is so special about them?
That they interchange genes or
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's correct. They switch genes, that everything is unique, but in the amount of
That they have half of the normal genes,
exactly.
so they combine.
Yeah, they have only half the amount of DNA than all other cells of your body. And this is for a very good reason, because the other half comes from the girl or the other half comes from the boy. That's what sexual reproduction is about. You fuse DNA, you make a new thing, a new unique thing, okay? Okay, I'm glad everybody is understanding. So here I show you in this image some examples of asexual reproduction. You see here a bacteria is dividing. This is mitosis, but it's like prokaryotic mitosis. It works a bit different. A paramecium is like also a single cell organism. It makes a clone, they divide, and they're identically split. Why do I show bacteria? Because this is very important, guys, because bacteria, they reproduce asexually. And that's why if you take a pill that kills the bacteria, it kills all the bacteria. If bacteria would divide sexually, then if you take a certain kind of antibiotics, it would only kill a certain species of bacteria. We don't go too much in prokaryotic cell division, but you all know that bacteria, virus, they can mutate, and this causes medicines to be inadequate, okay? And then it looks like yeah, they can have still genetic variety, but they use different mechanisms, okay? And here also some plants, they can reproduce asexually. They're all genetically the same trees, and they reproduce asexually. Guys, there is one plant today that is almost in danger of extinction because we reproduce them asexually all the time, and we reproduce them in such a way that they don't produce any seeds anymore, which is this kind of very popular fruit that we eat that we cannot reproduce sexually anymore. And it's causing a lot of problems because if one plant gets ill, the whole plantation becomes ill. Which fruit is in danger of extinction if there would be like some kind of very important disease for this kind of plant? Somebody
the
knows?
dragon fruit, like the big one.
No, it's not a dragon fruit. No, because we have many different species and they still have seeds. Think about a fruit that doesn't have seeds. Sorry?
Nanners?
Nanders?
Bananas.
Ah, yes,
Bananas.
bananas. Exactly, it's bananas. Bananas are in trouble, people. Read about it if you want to Google it. Bananas are in problems because we produce so many of it, and it's almost always the same species. And if that species gets ill, they all get ill, and then we have a problem because then it's bye-bye bananas.
It happened once that a whole species of bananas got extinct, right?
Yeah, indeed.
And the commercial banana had to be changed by
Yeah.
other species, and that's why the artificial flavor of bananas doesn't taste like actual bananas of today because it's the emulating the flavor of the other species of banana.
Yeah, it's true,
That's what I
Oliver.
heard.
It's true. I'm glad you're informed too. Yeah, it's really a problem because we have the same species of bananas that we eat. I'm talking about not the plátano macho, or I don't know how you call it, or it's a different kind of banana that you cook. You know, we still have different species, but I'm talking the banana that you buy in the supermarket that everybody eats. This banana is always almost the same species. We only have like one big species that we sell. And if there would be some kind of plague or some kind of disease that would infect the plantations, which is already happening, but we use a lot of pesticides to avoid it, yeah, then we could have serious problems because it would affect all these bananas, okay? And the same problem we can see with maize, you know. The problem is not as big yet, but United States has genetically modified the maize, which produces its own pesticide. And now Mexico has like a really nice variety of maize, the best variety in the world. I mean, it's really incredible the amount of colors and variety of maize that Mexico has. But the local farmers, in fact, they cannot plant it anymore, or they plant it less and less, because the more dominant species are invading, and they're getting rid of the nice original species. You know, I don't know if you ever seen a picture of that, but you have white mice, you have yellow mice, you have red mice, blue mice, black mice, you have all kinds of colors, you know. And this variety is really, really important for Mexico, because that's how how the Mayas and the Aztecs, they became such a good thriving civilization. But now this variety of Mexican maize, which is really important for the world, is getting lost thanks to the gringos, guys.
Teacher, I saw this video that said like we as humans are kind of in danger because of our reliability in such few like species of fruits, vegetables, animals, like cattle.
Yeah.
And that like, let's say there's this pest, how do you call it, or virus that infects, let's say, apples.
Yeah.
Then since the world is that connected, we would run out of apples in a matter of months, and there would be no such thing as the original apple.
Yeah, it's true, Emilio, and I think it's very good that you know this, because it's exactly the biggest threat to mankind is the biodiversity collapse, and that's what you're talking about. We have biodiversity collapse. We're always eating the same sources of food, always the same species, that's really problematic. Okay, guys, let's go on, because otherwise I'm afraid I cannot finish for today. This we have also seen, you know, guys, this is how a chromosome is formed. Please keep in mind that a chromosome is like a thread on histones. Histones are proteins that help to organize the DNA, and here you can see it. So this is zoomed in. If you zoom out, it looks like this, and then you see how the chromosome is formed. So the chromosome is not fully only DNA. It has some proteins in it which we call histones, and this is what we call the chromatin. Chromatin is DNA and histones together, and this is in fact what makes the chromosome. Okay, and this is a little bit explained here. It's not too important for you. You just have to know how it's formed. Okay. So guys, now we go to the chromosomes, and that's really the big issue of today. Whenever you have chromosomes, okay, this is a chromosome here, and this map of chromosomes, which we will see several of today, we call that a karyotype, okay? But there is one thing here. You have chromosomes that look like this, and you have chromosomes that look more like X, okay? So what's the difference? The difference is, in fact, that this chromosome is not split yet, and this chromosome is already splitting. Okay, so the X means that it's two strands that are identical, but here they're still together. They're still not divided. Okay, that's just a different point of view. You can say the same thing here. This is the schematical view. Okay, so you have a eukaryotic chromosome, which looks like this. This is one chromosome, and loci is in fact certain genes. But loci, think about it, it's called loci in plural or locus in singular. And a locus or a loci is the same as a gene. But when you talk about locus or loci, you refer to the position on the chromosome, okay? So it's like location, gene location. You can see it like that. So this loci is on this position, here and there. Because this is very important, because we use chromosomes a lot, and I did this in my leukemia research. We really we talk about chromosomes, about genes, where the position is on the chromosome. So the chromosomes, they are divided in two arms. We call this the P arm and the Q arm, and then with numbers, we give them locations. And when we call about gene loci number P arm 2625, so it's the coordinates where the gene is located on the chromosome. It's not too important for you, but I just want to introduce the term that if you see loci, what do they mean with loci? Loci means locus. and locus means location. So if you say gene locus, you refer to the location of the gene on the chromosome. Okay, the locus is a certain position on the chromosome. Okay, so why it becomes an X? It becomes an X when the DNA splits up. So this is double DNA, it splits up, and they're identical. They're sister chromatids, we call them, because this side, like you can see here, is identical to this side, and they're connected with the centromere. And the centromere is very important because it's the centromere that travels on top of the spindle. Think about the mitosis spindle. You remember the railroad I talked about? So the locomotive, in order for the chromosome to move, is the centromere. The centromere is basically a structure on the chromosome that connects to the spindle when mitosis is happening. And when they split, they look like this again. So basically what I'm saying you is, if you look at the chromosome, this one is not split yet. If it looks like an X, it means it's splitting. And it becomes again like this when it's split, okay? So that's what you can see here. Single chromosome, it starts to split, and then you have two chromosomes, okay? So we're gonna do some exercises about this, which are very interesting, because if we talk about a human, we have 46 chromosomes. You can count them, they're 46. And we say that we have 22 autosomes, okay, because they're the same. And we have two sex chromosomes, which is the X and the Y. If you have an X and a Y, what do you have?
A man.
A man.
A man.
And if you have two X's, you have a
Girl.
a girl. So if you look at this karyotype, do we have a girl or a boy?
A man.
Man, no?
No, we have a girl.
A girl.
Because
Girl.
there is two X here. So this is without any doubt, it's the karyotype of a girl. If I
How
look
would a
at-
guy look like?
Sorry?
How would a guy look like?
Yeah, this how he would look like, we don't know, but this would be definitely a girl. If I take the one from below, this one would be what?
Ah, boy.
A boy, because there is a Y chromosome here. So guys, if you have an egg cell, okay, an egg cell is coming from a girl. An egg cell after meiosis would only have one chromosome 1, one chromosome 2, one chromosome 3, and the egg cell will always have which chromosomes of the sex chromosomes?
An X.
Yes, of course, it will always have an X, because you, Leonela, you make eggs, okay? And every egg will have an X. Why? Because you have two X in your genes, okay? Because you're a girl. So who is giving, in fact, if we look at the sperm of you guys and my sperm, so who is deciding the sex? In my sperm cells, what would I have? Can I have an X in my sperm cells or not?
Yes.
Yes. Can I have a Y in my sperm cells? Because I get
Yes.
half or half. Yes. So who is deciding if you make babies, if you get a boy or a girl?
Luck.
The
The
sperm.
boy.
Exactly, it's the sperm, because the sperm, half of the boy's sperm is with the X in it, and the other half of the boy's sperms is with a Y in it. Okay, so that's the thing. Boys decide if you get a boy or a girl. So it was very unfair of the kings in the Middle Ages that would kill their wives because they couldn't give a son and this kind of silly things, because they would blame it on the woman. But that's ridiculous, because it's the man itself who is responsible for giving a boy or a girl. And now you understand why. Because if you take this karyotype, you only have half of the chromosomes. For a girl, it's impossible to have a Y. So a girl will always have an X in her chromosomes, in her eggs, let's say. And the boy, it really depends which half the boy has. This half, or with the X, or with the Y, okay? So guys,
Teacher.
Teacher,
yes?
and what is the problem with the kids with Down syndrome?
Oh,
Like
We
they
go there right now. That's why I have this exercise to see if you understand these chromosomes a little bit. It's not for points, guys. It's normally a homework, but you already have so much that I do this together. So look, I have here a very simple karyotype. You can see it. You can see karyotype 1, we call it. And you can see it's a human because it's 22 autosomes and we have here 2 sex chromosomes, X and Y, okay? We cannot see that much, but we can see enough. And normally a healthy karyotype have 2 of each, okay? So this all looks okay. So if we answer the questions, how many autosomes are present in this karyotype? What are autosomes? Autosomes is chromosomes that are the same. So how many autosomes are there, Emilio? Bichara?
8.
No, autosomes. This is autosomes. This is one pair
22.
of yes, 22. Very good. Second questions. How many sex chromosomes are present in this karyotype? Carlos?
2.
No, 2. Yeah, okay.
Who-
Thank you,
who did
Oliver.
you ask?
There is 2. There is 2 sex chromosomes, the X and the Y. Okay. Then, is this a person, a male or a female? Okay.
Male.
Rail.
A male.
It's a male because it has a Y chromosome and an X chromosome. Please notice, guys, that girls have more DNA than men have. We don't know the exact reason, but it has probably to do with the complex hormonal regulation women have. And of course, the reproductive system of a girl is more complex than what of a man because we only have to make sperm. And the girls, they have a very complex system and organs like the uterus and the ovaries that we don't even have. And all this has to be coded by genetic material. And this is most likely the reason why they have more DNA than we do, okay? Last question. Is this person normal? Does she represent a chromosomal disorder? If not, say so. And if there is a problem, name the disorder and tell us why. Is this person normal?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks very
No.
normal. We cannot see enough if there is really a problem here, but all chromosomes, they look more or less the same, so that's okay. And there is no chromosome missing and there is no chromosome too much. So if we only have this information, we can conclude that this person is healthy and normal. It has no genetic disorder. So let's go to karyotype number 2. This is already with a little bit more detail, and let's answer the same questions. So how many autosomes are here?
22.
22, very good. How many sex chromosomes are here?
2.
2, okay.
2.
And the sex chromosomes are what?
X.
X. So this person is a?
Female.
A
Yeah,
girl.
another girl. Okay, very good. Then, is this person healthy or not, guys?
It seems to be a yes
Yeah, why do you think it's a yes?
because there are 2 on every single one of them.
Yes. Yeah, but it's still, I mean, I don't know all about everything about each genetic disorder, but what you can see is that there is a problem with this person, because if you look clearly here to chromosome 5, you see here a dark strand and you see here that this under piece is missing, okay? Another thing that you see is there is something missing on chromosome 3, and chromosome 1 is a bit shorter. And basically, if you look in the internet, if there is a part of chromosome 5 missing, they call that Cri-du-Chat syndrome, okay? It's caused by the deletion of genetic material of the P arm of chromosome 5, and there is like a part missing here. And you can, this Cri-du-Chat, I can write that, it's called Cri-du-Chat syndrome. You don't have to know this, but it's just that you recognize that not everything is okay with this person. This Cri-du-Chat syndrome is a very rare genetic condition that causes a little part of the chromosome 5 to be deleted, okay? The symptoms of this is that They call it cri du chat because these persons, they have mental retardation. They are in fact not normal. They are handicapped, and they call it cri du chat because cri du chat is the shout of a cat, and it's because the people that have this syndrome, they typically scream like a cat. They make like they make like sounds because they're crazy, and that's why they call it cri du chat syndrome. But you can look for that yourself. So this girl is possibly, we don't know that for sure, but there is definitely something missing here. This chromosome is a bit smaller, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is really genes missing. But here there is definitely something missing. And this person has cri du chat syndrome. So it could be a handicapped girl that is crying like a cat, basically. They call it cri du chat syndrome. I also don't know the details about it. The point of it, it's just that you recognize that there is indeed something missing here, okay? Let's go to karyotype 3. So karyotype 3, guys, same question. How many, is this a boy or a girl? We already see there's 22 autosomes. Is this a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Okay, what's the problem with this girl? Because there is a very clear and very common problem here, a genetic disorder that is very common.
That
Number
some
7.
Chromosome 7.
are bigger or weird.
No, chromosome, it's just the position how they are, but I don't see any problem in chromosome 7 because the band.
I know.
21.
Yes.
21.
What do you see here? There is
That's
An
3.
extra
You're
chromosome.
three.
indeed. And what is the syndrome with 3 times chromosome
Down syndrome.
21? We
Down
call
Down
syndrome.
syndrome.
exactly. This is a Down syndrome girl because she has 3 types of chromosome 21. And this you can see when you do a karyotype of the girls. She will be a typically Down syndrome girl, you know. It's characterized by big eyes, mental retardation, little bit autistic. You know these persons, right? We all have seen somebody with Down syndrome in our life. So let's go to karyotype number 4. We don't have to do them all. It's just that you get the clue, okay? What's the problem with this one?
X. The chromosome X.
It only has one chromosome of like the sex.
Okay, indeed. So, guys, is this a boy or a girl?
What I was gonna ask, like those girls that inherit male characteristics like beard.
Yeah. This is called the Turner syndrome. In fact, it's in fact a girl, if you want to know, but it's a girl where the one X chromosome is missing, and this is what we call the Turner syndrome. And the problem with this is that they typically have like swollen throat, thyroid problems, heart defects, diabetes, indeed some male characteristics. They are often infertile and they need some estrogens because there is really something missing with them. Okay, so the problem also is that they have a very shorter life expectancy, and 1 in 2 to 5,000 people, depending the place on Earth, has this syndrome. Okay, it's not very funny. Yeah? This is like a serious condition, this Turner syndrome. Okay, we can do one more and then we finish the class. Number 5, what do we see here? Karyotype 5. We have again a karyotype, and it's again a problem here. Right? You can clearly see there is a problem.
Like it's a man, but like
It has 2 in the X.
Chromosome.
Okay, so indeed, we cannot really define if this is a boy or a girl because there is like an extra chromosome, okay, an extra X chromosome, okay. So this is a problem that is in fact a male problem, okay, and this is what we call the Klinefelter syndrome, okay. We also call it, like they say here, 47XXY, and it's a it's a karyotype that is affected men. And basically the problem is that this is men that are infertile often, and their testicles, they don't develop really well, and they have problems with production of sperm cells. And at the same time, they have very little body hair, and they have a lot of female characteristics. Like some of them, they even have development of breasts, you know, they would get breasts like girls. And yeah, they have a whole lot of other problems related to that, because in fact this is creates a problem in also hormonal regulation. So they have a lot of hormonal problems, because you have like, okay, it's a man because they have the Y syndrome, but they have this extra X chromosome, which causes them to have a lot of female characteristics as well. Okay, and they often create breast cancer, they have often hormonal problems and other things. So this is also a problem of people that are like a little bit hermaphrodite, one could say. And yeah, it's a problem. They also have a shorter life expectancy. Okay.
Mister, I have a question.
Yes.
What if like you're born and have like a syndrome or disease that makes your cells to produce your chromosomes in a bad way, like deteriorating them, como deteriorándolas?
Uh, yeah, this is a condition that really exists, Emilio, and basically these are people that don't even get born very often. This can create spontaneous abortions, because don't forget that when an embryo or a fetus is growing in the womb of a woman, that the baby is growing by mitosis. So if there is a problem in the chromosomes, the problem is duplicated, duplicated, duplicated. They're all clones. So basically, if the DNA is so messed up that there is such severe problems, then the baby, it gets aborted in a natural way, because it cannot develop in a proper way. And if they do get born, the problem has to be small, but at a later age, they would get cancer or they would get other issues, and they can be severely handicapped like these people. Because all the karyotypes we have seen now, all these people with messed up DNA or problems in their chromosomes, they very often have a shorter life expectancy, because it's not normal. They would generate cancer, certain other things are not working. There is interference with a lot of things. So it's very unique cases, what you say. You cannot really say it's always like that, but it's always very serious, because genetic issues, we cannot solve them really well. We cannot cure Down syndrome. We cannot remove one chromosome from the cell that everybody is okay. I think in the future we might, but we're not there yet. And even if we can, you cannot fix the person, because the person is already developed. You cannot change the brain once it's formed, you know? Okay.
Mister, like the Stephen Hawking case, like his disease, what was his problem? Like
Which person?
Stephen Hawking, the one that was like like
Paralyzed and like
yeah,
deformed.
but long term and
Mhm.
slowly.
It was like a disease. He was normal, and then he started like, well, I don't know how to explain it.
You mean who are you talking about in specific?
Stephen Hawking, the
Stephen
genius,
Hawking. Yeah, but
Hawking's
yeah.
radiation. Yeah.
yeah, but he has a genetic disease, and this becomes worse at later age. So what he has, I believe he had like some kind of motor neuron disease, which was autoimmune disease, which has a genetic alteration in the immune cells that attacks its own nerve cells, more specifically the motor neurons. And the immune system would attack those nerves and would destroy it. And that's why Steve Hawking would become more and more and more paralyzed until his death, that even his breathing muscles would get paralyzed. And this disease that he has is progressive, because the immune system needs time to attack all those motor neurons. It takes years in order to paralyze a person completely. It's a genetic disease, yes, but it takes a long time for those antibodies to attack all the motor neurons in the body in order to destroy the whole body. And Stephen Hawkins had a lot of money. What they did and why he lived so long, because when he was born and he was diagnosed, I believe he was diagnosed when he was 20 something, right? They would think he would only live for 10 years, but medicine got better and better and better. And he was taking like specialized medicines that would that would block those antibodies that attack the motor neurons. So he has been taking immunorepressants all his life in order that his motor neurons would not be attacked too much. And that's the same thing that people nowadays take when they have multiple sclerosis, which is basically a similar disease. It's not as bad as what Stephen Hawkins had, but we have what we do to cure those people or to help them is not fix the problem, but we can slow it down by blocking these antibodies that attack the motor neurons. Okay, guys, I see it's time, so we see each other tomorrow. I hope you paid attention, and if not, review the video because it was more or less an important lesson because many things came together, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we see each other tomorrow, okay? Take care, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Teacher, tengo una pregunta,
Go ahead.
Porque hay unas personas que nacen como viejos, o sea, que tienen cara de viejos, pero tienen de que 10 años, pero parecen de 70.
Okay. This is another syndrome. It's a genetic disease, and I forgot the name. What was the name again? I have to look for. I remember, but this is a disease that affects the genes. That in fact the genetic material is destroyed, and in fact the genetic material is like in such a state that the person looks like he's already really old. I forgot the name. What's the name again? Syndrome. You look old. I know, but it doesn't enter my head. Progeria, yes, correct, progeria. It's a very rare genetic condition that affects all your chromosomes and all your DNA, that it's in fact of really bad quality, and that's in fact what makes us older, you know? What makes us older is the copy of the copy of the copy of the copy of each cell and of the DNA that destroys a little bit the quality of our DNA, and that's why we get wrinkled, that's why our cells, they are not of the same quality. And those people, they have some kind of condition that their DNA is of such a bad quality, utmost likely because they don't have good repair mechanisms, that they look old when they're only 6 years old, they look already 40 years old. It's called progeria. And there is a very little cases. The people that have progeria, they live very short. So they only become like 20 years old at most. There's some other exceptions, but it's a very sad disease, in fact, because from the moment they're born, they will know that they only will live like 20, 30 years at most.
And the other way, like the ones that you don't age, like you look young forever. Like there's also a movie about this girl that looks like she's 7 years old, but she's like 30 and 40 years old.
Yeah,
like,
that's another disease. I also don't know the name of this disease, but yeah, that's another case. And especially this girl with that disease, they're investigating a lot because they want to know what's really happening, you know? Because if you know what is causing this in the girl, you could make some kind of medicine that we could stay forever young. And that's why she is so popular, and scientists are looking into her, what is causing her to look so young and to stay young. Because possibly she must have some kind of repair mechanism that is much better than all of ours, and that she stays young forever. But the other issue with her is that she doesn't grow, she doesn't develop. So that's the other problem, you know? She stays like a child, basically, and that's also not good because cells need to differentiate and need to develop. So you need something in between.
Mister, did you know that some scientists discovered a girl with purple eyes, that she's immune to like almost every disease, and she has like at 100 years old, she could look like 40 years old, like something like that.
I don't know about this one,
but they discovered that long time ago.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So guys, I have to go because I have another meeting. Take care, and we can discuss more tomorrow if you like. Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.